Hello students. So in previous video we discussed the modes of occurrence of elements and the occurrence of elements in different forms and the abundance of elements in earth crust and occurrence of metals in the form of minerals and ores and different types of ores of different metals. So in today's video I will start with the steps involved in the extraction of metals or elements. So first is extraction and isolation of metals. So following are the steps involved in the extraction of metals. So starting with the very first, that is raw ore. So we'll start with raw ore, that is crushing and grinding of the ore. Then concentration of ore, second step. Then third step is to get metal from concentrated ore, and then purification and refining. So concentration of ore is the very first step. So in this concentration of ore, the first step is to remove the impurities from the ore, and it does not involve any chemical process generally, and it is based on difference between the physical properties of the metal and the impurities or unwanted particles. So this is all about metal and the unwanted impurities. So following are the physical processes involved in the concentration of ore, that is hydraulic washing, magnetic separation, froth flotation method, and the fourth is leaching. Leaching is a chemical method. And the next step is third step is the extraction of crude metal from concentrated ore, means the metal which we get in the second step. So here it is, third step is isolation of metal from its concentrated ore. So this process involves of getting impure metal. So in this step only we get metal, but it is impure from concentrated ore, and it is a chemical method because in this method we use chemical reactions. So the following are the processes involved in this: conversion of oxide, that is by using different process, calcination and roasting, and then reduction to form metal. And the last step involved here is purification of metal by using these methods, that is distillation, liquefaction, electrolysis, zone refining, vapor phase refining, chromatographic methods. So later on we will discuss these purification methods. So starting with the very first, okay, before that first we go through all these steps involved in the extraction of metals, that is metallurgy. So starting with the very first, that is the first step is crushing and grinding of ore. Then second step involved here is concentration of ore. Then in concentration of ore we use different techniques: hydraulic washing, magnetic separation, froth flotation and leaching. Then next step is to get metal from its concentrated ore, and then finally it is purification and refining of metals. So these are the four major steps involved in the metallurgical processes. So one by one we'll discuss these. So starting with the very first, that is concentration of ore, and it is also known as ore benefaction. The term used here is ore benefaction. So benefaction means the removal of unwanted material from the ore, and it is known as concentration, or ore dressing. It is also known as ore dressing or benefaction. So it involves several steps, and selection of these steps depends upon the difference in physical properties of the compound, of the metal present, and that of the impurities, that is gangue particles. So the first method is gravity separation or levitation, or simply we use this term hydraulic washing. So this method is based on the differences in the gravities of the ore and the impurities. Gangue particles means impurities. So the process by which lighter earthy impurities are removed from the heavier ore particles by simply washing with water, that is called as leviation. So the lighter impurities are washed away, and this method is commonly used for the ores such as hematite, iron ore, tin stone, tin ore, and native ores of gold and silver. The next method is magnetic separation. So this word itself indicating that it is based on the magnetic properties of the ore components. If either ore or gangue is capable of being attracted by a magnetic field, then such separations are carried out. And simply in case of iron ores, so the ore is collected in different chamber and the impurities are collected in different form. So in this setup, first we put the ore here, then a magnetic roller is there, and magnetic rollers are present in this. If the ore rotates in this way, the impurities are settled in different chamber and the ore are attracted towards magnetic field. The next step is froth flotation method. So this method is used to remove gangue or impurities from sulfide ores. And generally this method, that is froth flotation process, is based on the principle of differences in the wetting properties of ore and gangue particles with water and oil. So it is used for the extraction of those metals in which the ore particles are wetted by oil and gangue particles are wetted by water. And the working of froth flotation process or method is, so we use a separate container in this, and it contains collectors in the form of pine oil, fatty acids, xanthates, which will enhance the non-wettability of mineral particles, and froth stabilizer. We use froth stabilizer because the lifespan, or we can say the time period for the formation of froth, is very less. So we use froth stabilizer in this cresols and aniline. As a result of this, it stabilizes the froth. And a mixture and rotating paddle aggregates the mixture, and as a result of this, froth is formed which carries the mineral particles, and simply we separate out. Sometimes it is also possible to separate two sulfide ores by adjusting proportions of oil to water using depressants. So these are the chemical compounds which we use in froth flotation process. So for example, in case of ore containing ZnS and PbS, we use depressants NaCN. It selectively prevents ZnS from coming to the froth but allows lead sulfide to come with froth. So in this way, we will simply separate out the ore particles. The another method is leaching. So leaching is another method of concentration of ore, and leaching is a chemical method of concentration and is useful in case of the ore is soluble in a suitable solvent. So in this method, the powder ore is treated with certain reagents which can selectively dissolve the ore but not the impurities. So following examples are given to explain the process of leaching. So leaching method is used for concentrating ores of aluminium, silver, gold, etc. So here the first example is leaching of alumina. Alumina is the ore of aluminium from bauxite. So bauxite ore. So pure alumina, that is Al2O3, is obtained from principal ore of aluminium, that is bauxite ore by Beer's process. So the principal ore of aluminium usually contain SiO2, iron oxide and titanium oxide as impurities. So concentration is carried out by digesting the powder ore with a concentrated solution of NaOH at high temperature and low pressure. So in this way, Al2O3 is leached out as sodium aluminate and the impurities are leaving behind. So Al2O3 treated with NaOH and H2O, it gives NaOH, NaAlOH, whole 4 it is. So this is the formula used for sodium aluminate. So the aluminate in solution is neutralized by passing CO2 and hydrated Al2O3 is precipitated. So when sodium aluminate is treated with CO2, it forms hydrated alumina, Al2O3.XH2. Then hydrated alumina is filtered, dried and heated, give back to pure Al2O3 alumina. So the another example is in the metallurgy of silver and that of gold. Metals is leached with dilute solution of NaCN or KCN in the presence of air. So it forms soluble complex like cyanide complex, and the metal dissolved in the solution as a complex. And this method or process is known as cyanide process or MacArthur Forrest cyanide process for the concentration of gold and silver metal. So this is all about the concentration methods.